Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be going over 2024 Crested Gecko market predictions by playing a fun little game of Hot or Not. Now the way that this works is I'm going to go over some of the most popular Crested Gecko morphs and traits, and I'll give them a rating of Hot or Not. If they get a rating of hot, that just means that I think they're increasing in popularity throughout the year, and if I give them a rating of not, that means I think they're going to either remain the same or they're going to decrease in popularity throughout the year. And I'm changing this a little bit from last year's video because last year I talked about pricing and values a little bit, but we know that most things have came down in price, so if I did that it would be unfair because most things would be a not. So this is going to be all based on popularity. Again, this is just my opinion and from what I've seen online. If you're wondering how I judge this, I do it mostly off of two things. Number one, the things I've seen selling and being listed on MorphMarket, and number two, what I see a lot of hype and talk and excitement around in the community, both online and just on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, things that I see people are interested in and are excited to work on. And so that's how I judge this. But again, this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm just some random guy on the internet. But if you haven't seen last year's video, let's get a little refresher on the things that I rated hot or not. So here is the categories we're going to be going through. We got some good things in here, xanthics, fraps, caps, lily whites, phantoms. This is how I rated them last year. If you'd like to see the full video, there will be a link down below in the description, as well as a card so you can check that out after this video. But without further ado, let's get into the 2024 Crested Gecko market predictions. So starting us off, we have a xanthic Crested Geckos. These are Crested Geckos that are all black. I still see a lot of talk about xanthics. I think people are still excited and hyped to work with them. And as they continue to come down in price and become more affordable, I think more and more people are going to want to get their hands on them and start creating different combinations like xanthic lily whites and a bunch of other beautiful things. And so these are definitely hot for 2024 still. I think they're going to continue to increase in popularity. Next up, we have brindles and tigers. This is our first switch up from 2023. Last year I gave these a hot, and this year I'm going to give them a not. I think they're going to kind of remain the same as where they were previous years. I haven't seen as much excitement about them lately, so these are going to just stay at about that same level, but that means they get a not. Next up, we have cappuccino Crested Geckos. I have to give these a hot for 2024. Last year I gave them a not, but that was because people were still a little bit weary about working with them. However, this year I see a lot of excitement towards them. People are more interested in working with them again and creating some beautiful combinations. So I think this is going to be one of the big ones for 2024 is cappuccino Crested Geckos. Next up, we have regular Dalmatians. I'm going to give a not to regular Dalmatians. I don't think they're becoming any more popular. I don't think they're becoming any less popular. They're just kind of chilling at their little plateaued space, and so these are definitely a not. Empty back and super stripe is definitely a hot for 2024. I still see a lot of excitement and a lot of talk about people wanting to get into and work with empty back and super stripe Crested Geckos, and I think there's a lot of interest in breeding them into other morphs now that we understand how they work a little bit better. And so this is definitely one that I think you should keep your eye on for 2024 as well. This one is going to be a hot one. Next up, extreme harlequins. I think these are going to remain the same as they have been prior years. I don't particularly see extreme harlequins all of a sudden becoming super popular. They're already pretty popular and one of the most popular Crested Gecko morphs, but as far as being the 2024 hot thing, I don't see it, so I have to give these a not. Next up, Frappuccino Crested Geckos I think are going to be a hot thing for 2024. I still see a lot of excitement around fraps and now caps again, and so I think that to make fraps you need caps, and so caps are going to be hot and fraps are going to be hot. I've seen a lot of talk about them lately, and I've seen some really beautiful fraps online lately too. Lily white Crested Geckos. I was debating on what I should do with this one because I think that they're still popular. I don't necessarily see them becoming more popular. They've pretty much started to hit that bottom tier pricing to where they're affordable for everybody, and so I had to give these a not again. However, I was considering putting them in a lukewarm category because to make a lot of the cool combinations that you need for some of the other morphs, you do need lily whites. However, I think they're going to remain the same if we just look at them on their own. And so I think lily whites are a not, but I think that they are needed for some of the projects that are going to be hot this year. Next up, we have Phantom Crested Geckos, which I had to give a hot to, and not for maybe the reason you think. Of course, I'm a big fan of Phantoms, but I've also seen a lot of people interested in creating Phantom variations of other morphs like xanthics I've seen a lot of recently, fraps, lily whites, dark phantoms, red phantoms, orange phantoms. I think there's a lot of interesting things that are going to be happening with phantoms and being worked into other projects. So I had to give these a hot. On their own, I don't necessarily know that they're super hot. People are still interested in them, but maybe not quite as much as last year, but I think enough to put them in the hot category still. Next up, the classic old pinstripe. For some reason, every time I think of pinstripe crested geckos, I think of a dark base with like an orange creamy pattern. And so if you can picture that in your head as well, I have to give these a not. I think pinstripes on their own are not very popular. They're okay, and I think people like them, but I think people are more excited about like empty backs and super stripes. So these are definitely a not. I think they're going to remain the same where they've been for previous years. And so these are definitely a not. This one hurts me a little bit to say. I don't even know if I can say it, but reds, anything red, I have to give a not to, just because I feel like the hype around reds has died down a little bit. Now, not necessarily red phantoms, but just red other things. I feel like it's not quite as hot as it was last year. Last year I gave reds a hot. This year, I'm going to give them a not because I think they're going to remain the same as where they were last year. So I think they're still popular, but I don't see them becoming more popular than they were last year. I still think they're in demand, but not quite as hot as they were last year. I feel like last year they were just bumping, and so this year they're plateauing, so they get a not. Sables, I think, are going to be the second biggest morph, or maybe the first biggest morph of 2024. These definitely get a hot. Caps, fraps, and sables. People have a lot of interest in working with these three things, or really just caps and sables. And there's been a lot of talk about these recently in the community. I've seen a lot about them. And so I think sables is definitely a hot and probably one of the hottest on this list. Next up, we have the good old Super Dal. This was a little bit of a hard one because Super Dals seem to go in waves. Sometimes they're really popular, sometimes they're not. I had to give these a hot for this year just because I still see a lot of people interested in them. However, it's like a lukewarm hot. It's almost not category. And so I think these are going to be popular. People generally like a really nice Super Dal. And so I think these are still going to be popular, probably a little bit more even than last year, because the thing with Super Dals is they're continually getting better, more and more spots. It's not like extreme harlequins where they've kind of hit the max. You can have a fully covered gecko. Super Dals, they're kind of working on more and more spots. And so it's something that can continually be worked on. And so I'm going to give these a hot, but it's like a lukewarm hot. And last but not least, we have tricolors. Tricolors, I think, are going to be a not for 2024. I think if you have a really nice tricolor, people will always snatch those up. But overall, I think they're going to remain the same as where they've been previous years. And so with that being said, this is going to wrap up my 2024 Crested Gecko market predictions. Let me know down below in the comments. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Do you think there's something that I missed that's going to be super hot? Let me know down below. I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are. Again, these are just all my opinions and what I think is going to be popular this coming year. There's always outliers in any of these. Like if you have a really nice lily white, people are going to snatch that right up, or a really nice extreme harlequin or tricolor or whatever, any of the ones that I rated a not. But I think if I had to guess, the big three for this year are going to be xanthic and their combinations, caps and their combinations, and sables and their combinations, especially caps and sables. I think those are the main two that are going to be super popular this year. I've been seeing a lot of talk about them all over social media, a lot of photos, and so I'm excited to see what comes of this year. I think I did pretty good on the 2023 list, so I hope I can do pretty good on this one as well. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.